Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ashok. This video is the part of Apex Triggers Interview Preparation series, where in previous videos of this series, we have covered multiple scenarios to write Apex Triggers. And today in this video, we will cover another interesting use case or scenario, which will be very important and will help you to know how you can write a kind of dynamic triggers in Apex. Okay, now let's have a look on use case. So the use case is, how can you implement a configurable functionality in opportunity object to update the priority field based on the opportunity amount? And if opportunity amount is between 0 to 10,000, then we have to set priority as low. And if amount is between 10,001 to 50,000, then priority should be medium. And if amount is greater than 50,000, then priority should be high. Okay. So this is the simple requirement where on the basis of opportunity amount, we have to set value in priority field. But here main thing is, we need to write this trigger in such a way so these configurations can be easily modified by a system administrator without any code changes. This is the key point here, which means in trigger, we can't put static conditions on the basis of these values, because maybe in future, system administrator want to update this criteria. Like let's say for low priority, amount should be between 0 to 20,000. Not 10. So if we hardcode these values in trigger, then in future code change will must if we want to update this criteria, right? So today in this video we will learn how we can write a dynamic trigger or dynamic code in Apex. Okay, but before moving into practical implementation, let's see some prerequisites. And first we have create new field. In opportunity object we don't have any standard field to store priority value. So here we have to create a new field with name priority, and for that let's open our Salesforce org and here open opportunity object. And select fields and relationship tab, and here click on new, and priority values will be string with around 5 to 10 characters. So let's select text as data type. Alright, new text field is created with size 10. Now next we have on which object we should create trigger. This is the straightforward requirement and only one object involved in this. I mean here we have to update priority field on the basis of amount. So triggering point is amount field value update. Therefore trigger will be created on opportunity object. Okay. Next we have which all trigger events we will use. So as per requirement, here we have to update priority field on the basis of amount, and both fields belongs to opportunity object, which means we have to update field on current or triggering record, and triggering record field values can only be updated in before trigger, not in after. Triggering record means due to that trigger invocation happened, and amount value can update either in insert or update operations. So here we will use before insert and before update trigger events. Okay, and to access triggering records we will use trigger.new context variable, because this will be available in these both events and we don't see any requirement to use map. Okay, now let's jump into practical implementation and open any code editor that you want. Here I will use developer console, so let me open that. And here first let's create trigger on opportunity object. So click on file, then new, then Apex trigger, and here let's write opportunity trigger as name and select opportunity object. Alright, new trigger has created on opportunity object with before insert event, but to complete this requirement we will require one more event, that is before update. So let's add that as well. Okay, now before moving further, let's create a helper or handler class to follow logicless best practice. Okay, we have created a new Apex class with opportunity trigger helper name. Now here let's create a method to update priority values on the basis of amount. Okay, we have created a public static method with update opportunity priority name and taking list of opportunities as input. So while calling from trigger, we will pass trigger.new context variable. Alright, as of now everything was simple, like most of the things you already knew. And now before writing code, first let's understand what we can do to make our trigger dynamic, or how we can make our trigger configurable. So administrator can easily update priority configurations in future, like amount, and same configurations should automatically apply on our trigger as well without any code changes, right? So to achieve this requirement in Salesforce, we have mainly two features: custom settings and custom metadata types. These are mainly designed and used to store configurations or settings, and these settings can be accessed across Salesforce org. Custom settings and metadata types can be accessed at many places, like in validation rules, formula fields, process builders, flows, app builder, and in Apex as well. So if you are going to use some values in code or automation tools, and these values can be changed in future, or you want to give an option to administrator to update those values, and also you want to write future-proof logic. If you don't want to make code changes in future only for those values, then instead of hard coding them in code or automation tools, we should store them in either custom settings or in custom metadata types, and should get and use values directly from there. So in that case, what will happen? If administrator want to change those values for any reason, then he will just open and change values in custom settings or in metadata types from setup, and those values will automatically apply wherever we have used those features. Okay, this might be confusing as of now, but we will understand it more while practical implementation. Here one more question you might be having in your mind if you are new or beginner, that can't we create custom object and store values there, and using SQL query read and use them again in code instead of custom settings or metadata types? Simply, you might be thinking why we should use custom settings and metadata types over custom objects. So here again, main thing is whatever data we store into custom settings or in metadata types, those get stored into server cache. So whenever we try to get those data, in that case data will directly return from cache without querying to database. And SQL query limit also does not count or increase, which means when we read data from custom settings and custom metadata type, then SQL query limit does not consume. Okay, so if we use custom settings and metadata types, then there are many advantages we have. Here I am just covering at high level, but these topics are very long and important for a good Salesforce developer. If you want me to create a separate detailed video on these, then do let me know in the comments. Now one more question you might have here, that which one we should use in this case, like custom settings or metadata types. So straightforward answer is, here we will use custom metadata types because data in these are packageable and deployable. Whatever data we store into custom metadata types, those we can easily deploy using ChainSet or any other deployment tools like Capado and GearSet, which means if we create some data on development org, those data can be deployed on QA, staging or production as well. But we can't deploy custom settings data, which means if we have saved some data in custom settings on development org, then again we have to create those data into other orgs. Data from custom settings are not deployable. Okay, so this is the main difference, but there are few cases where only custom settings can help us, like to store data based on profile or a specific user. Let's say you want to store some different values for profile 1 and something different for profile 2, then in this case we have to go with custom settings only. That feature is not available in custom metadata types. Okay, so which one we should use, that is depends on the use case. But here in this case we want to have same values across all the profiles, so we can go with the custom metadata types. Okay, here I have given you a high level idea about these features, but these features are very important. So if you want to learn in depth, then do let me know in the comments. I'll create a separate detailed video on these. And now let's see how we can create custom metadata type. And for that, let's open setup. And under this home tab, let's find custom metadata and select this custom metadata types option. And here click on this new custom metadata type button. And now here we need to provide metadata type name. So let's write opportunity priority. Okay, Here I have given opportunity priority as label and also provided plural label, and this will be the API name, and let this visibility option selected and click on save. Okay, a new metadata type has created with these default standard fields like created by, record name, label, and many others. This is something like custom object. Like over there also we used to have these kind of standard fields, but on top of these we can create our custom fields as well. Like in this our current use case, we have to create custom fields to store from amount and to amount. So in metadata type, if you want to create custom fields, then under this custom fields section, click on new. And here again, similar to the custom object, we have to select data type for the field. And here we want to create a new field to store from amount, and from amount will be number. So let's select number as data type and click on next. And here provide from amount as label. And let's make it 16 and 2 in decimal places. Now click on next and click on save and new. Similarly, let's create to amount field as well. Alright, now we have created two custom fields under this metadata type. So this is how we can create custom metadata type with all the required fields. And now to add data under it, let's click on manage opportunity priorities button, and here click on new. And now as per our requirement, as of now, if amount is 0 to 10,000, then priority will be low, and for 10,000 1 to 50,000, priority will be medium, and for more than 50,000, priority will be high. So here we will add 3 records. First let's add for low. In from amount we will add 0, and in to amount we will add 10,000. Click on save and new. Similarly, let's add for medium and high as well. If we have opportunity amount more than 50,000, then we have to show high as priority. So in from amount we can add 50,001, but what should be in to amount? So here we need to add a possible max range, and we have provided 16 as max length. So let's add 16 times 9 here. Okay, we have added 16 times 9, and opportunity amount field also has same limit like 16 by 2. So that also won't go beyond this range. Okay, now let's click on save. Okay, this is how we can add records under metadata type, and here we have added 3 records under opportunity priorities. Now let's open our trigger helper class to write code, and we can get multiple records under this opportunity list input parameter. So to apply logic on all the records, let's add for each loop. Okay, now here what we have to do, on the basis of opportunity amount, we have to assign value in priority field. So as per requirement, if we have amount between 0 to 10,000, then priority should be low. So let me write code for that. Okay, this is how we can add static condition in code on the basis of current requirement. But as I said, this will not fulfill our requirement, because as per our current use case, in future administrator can update this criteria. Like maybe in future he wants to set this criteria between 0 to 15,000 for low priority without any code changes. And if we write code in this way, then anyhow to update criteria, we have to update code as well, like this, right? So that's why instead of writing these conditions here with hard-coded values, let's use metadata type and query all the configurations which we have created just before. And for that, first of all, we have to use SQL query to read those configurations. So let me write SQL query here. Okay, so this is how using SQL query we can read data from custom metadata type And this is completely similar to how we read data from Salesforce objects. Just one difference we have here with the API name. Like custom objects have underscore C suffix in name, but metadata types has underscore MDT as suffix. Okay. And here first we have queried master label, which is the API name of label field, and also selected from and to amount fields. And if you notice here, we have written this query outside of for loop, so it will only fetch data once for multiple records as well. Though querying data from metadata types does not count under governor limits, so if we use this query under this for loop, that's also fine. But still, as much possible, we have to always write SQL queries and TML statements outside of loop. Okay. Now in this list, we will have all the configurations which we have set in metadata types. And now let's write code to set priority value as per these configurations. So first let me write code, then I will explain it to you. Okay. So here first we have declared a variable to hold opportunity amount, and then we have added a loop to iterate through all the metadata records. And now under this loop, simply we have modified hard-coded values with metadata values. Like here, instead of hard-coded 0, we have used data.from amount, and instead of 10,000, here we have used data.to amount. And here instead of hard-coded low, we are assigning master label field. So simply here we have replaced all the static values with metadata fields. So at runtime, values will dynamically come here, and on the basis of those values, this condition will execute and assign value in priority field. Okay. So if this condition will true, then we are updating opportunity priority field with master label, and here added break statement. So it will exit this loop after priority value assigned. Okay. So this is how we made this condition dynamic. I mean, now we don't have any hard-coded value in our code. All the values are coming from metadata type, and administrator can easily update values there, right? So this is how we can write kind of dynamic trigger using custom settings or custom metadata types as per your requirement. Okay. Now let's call this method in trigger. Okay, here we have used operation type trigger context variable to add condition. Now this method will only get called in case of before insert and before update. Okay, though as of now this trigger will also get called for these operations only, but maybe in future we add more events here. So as a best practice, we should always write event conditions on top of code in which you want to execute. Okay, it seems we are done with our code, and now to test it, let's open our Salesforce org and open opportunities tab here. Here let's create new opportunity record with all the required fields. New opportunity record created. Now here let's open this details tab, and here you can see low value in priority field, which is correct as per our logic, because here we have provided 1000 as amount. Now to test it further, let's update amount field with 60,000 and click on save. Alright, now you can see priority value has automatically changed to high, which means our trigger is working as expected, or we can say as we have configured. Now let's say in future our company decide to update range for to 10,000 to 75,000. So in that case, what administrator or user will do, he will just open metadata type in setup, and update values here. For example, let's update this medium priority range to 10,001 to 75,000, and also update this high priority range. Okay, now if we save any opportunity with amount 10,000 to 75,000, then priority should be medium. So let's edit our opportunity record again and set this amount field to 70. Now once I'll click on save, we should see medium as priority. Alright, now we can see medium value in priority field without making any code change, right? Which means our trigger is working as expected, and this is how we can leverage custom settings and metadata types in our day-to-day development to make code future-proof or dynamic. Okay. So that's it in this video, where we have learned how to write dynamic triggers or code in Apex using custom metadata types, and I hope you will definitely use these amazing features to reduce code maintenance and to improve code quality. And if this video helped you to learn something new, then please like and subscribe my YouTube channel, and also share your feedback in comments. This will really give me motivation to create more valuable content for you. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in next video with another use case.